So hi guys, welcome back to the channel and my name is Monu Mishra. So guys, I am back here with another interesting and obviously informative video for you. And it is going to be absolutely on the most important topic of your PhD, that is how to choose a research guide. Choosing a research guide is very much important and vital for your PhD because your whole PhD as well as your whole research career is going to be dependent on the certain guide. So there are a few things which you need to keep in your mind before choosing a research guide, and I'm going to tell you about these things only. So let's get started with today's video. So guys, the first thing you need to take care before choosing a research guide is your research interest and the interest of the research guide. Sometimes you want to do your PhD in a certain experimental topic, but your guide is doing work on on theoretical things from since long. So it will be hard for him as well as you to manage and to do an experimental thing because you are also new to the research and he's also new to the experimental science. So basically, whenever you are going to choose your research guide, first of all, you need to take care whether your research interests are aligned or not, or your research guide has an expertise in this particular field or not. You are doing experimental, he is doing theoretical, that will be a clash. You are doing theoretical or he is doing experimental, that will be again a little bit of trouble. And you are interested in say you are interested in semiconductor physics and he is doing something on astrophysics, then these two areas are very much different. So basically you have to see whether the interest, your both research interest as well as expertise are matching or not. So the first thing you need to take care is about matching of research experience as well as the expertise of both of you guys so that you can have a good PhD. The second thing you need to take care before taking admission to us with a supervisor is the level of problem. Obviously in many universities and in many places you can see a guide will tell you about what kind of PhD he or she is offering. This is pretty much common in everywhere in the world. In Europe as well as US, they are already advertising that we are offering a PhD but in this particular topic. Then you should also see whether the topic is relevant to you or not, whether it is new, it is old, it is very much time consuming and everything, because you are going to do your PhD in 3 years or 4 years or something like that, and the world is evolving. You cannot work on the problem which was there in 1960s or 70s. So you have to see whether the offered PhD position is really challenging or not, is really going to give you some skills or not, or you're just doing the regular stuff. So before you need to see whether the problem is tackling with the future things. It should be future oriented. You are going to learn something which will be further used in your research career afterwards. So you have to see the problem is new. It is that can be solved in a particular amount of time, that will give you certain skill set which is required in future, and you are doing something new to the world, you are giving something new to the world. So these kind of things you should be aware of before joining the PhD. So another thing you need to know is what level of professor you are choosing. So if I see in a research career, you can have a junior group leader or assistant professor, you can have an associate or mid-level researcher, then you can go to a full professor, and then there comes the directors and those kind of guys, the big shots. So basically before joining any kind of the professor, you have to see whether you want to work with them or not, because if a junior group leader, he will certainly have less experience and less facilities because he's just at the starting of his career, but definitely he will be able to give you good amount of time because there will be less persons to handle and he will have less responsibilities. He can give you good amount of the time. So this is one trade-off things. You may get less facilities, but you will have good collaboration, you will have like good amount of time from your supervisor on your thesis. In associate professor, the facility level ups, and obviously the interaction slightly decrease because he also has other things to do, academics, non-academics, and teachings and everything. And then you can choose a professor who is very much experienced in science, but certainly he will have high number of students with him, postdocs, PhDs, masters, junior group leaders to handle. So he can certainly give you less amount of time. And then comes the director who have very big number of academic responsibilities with them. So it will be very hard for him or her to give you good amount of time, but certainly his experience, his networking will certainly give you a good opportunity to explore the dimensions. So you need to make sure which kind of professor you want to join, because with each level of professor there comes certain level of good pros or cons. Certainly a good junior group leader will be good amount of time, which is not available with a director or chancellor level of professor, but certainly the experience and networking will be much more higher in those guys rather than to junior group leaders which have just joined. So you have to see a trade-off where you can manage, and then accordingly you should choose your supervisor. So another point you should consider before choosing a guide is facilities and funding. So you should always join, irrespective of the position, you should always join a professor which has good lab facilities, infrastructure, as well as good funding, because in PhD you are going to require a lot of funding, you will require a lot of facilities to do your work. So in that scenario you should be aware of that I am going to join this guy and he has adequate facility which is required to do my PhD. If you have joined a lab where there is no equipment or very less equipments or less funding required for your PhD, then you have to roam around with a lot of places to get your characterization done, to get your things done, and that will take a lot of the time, and that will certainly, it's not a good idea. So go for a guide which has all the required facilities and funding for your research project. So that is one of the main things you should definitely consider. Another thing you should take care of before joining a guide is the history of lab members. Suppose you are joining a mid-level professor or a professor level guy, then obviously there will be many people who have done their PhD with them, and now you have to see what their history is, how those alumni are getting placed, what they are doing, how good they are doing, so that you can get an idea about the atmosphere of the lab, about the skills they are getting and how good they are placed. Because after the PhD you want to get placed at a good place, you want to do something good in the life, then obviously you need a support. So you can see how the history of their alumni, so that you can get a fair idea about what kind of products have been delivered at the end of the PhD from this lab. So take care of that as well. Another thing you should take care about is collaboration, networking and publication. In PhD, it's very important to publish in a good journals, as well as it's highly important to develop some collaboration networking, so that after graduating, you're doing a PhD, you may get a good postdoc or some academic position, or you will have a good place to go afterwards. So you have to see the professor which you are joining has how many collaborations that he or she has, or how good he or she is in the networking, and what are the publication or the output of the lab. So if you are in a lab which is not publishing good quality papers, just publishing small papers, then it will be difficult for you, because the world is very competitive. So you can see nowadays the publication record is soaring. You can get a lot of publication, and you are not publishing good papers in a journal in your PhD, then that would certainly not a good thing to do. So before joining a guide, you have to research about the guide, like how good is in collaboration, how many collaborations are there, how is collaborating with the other persons, and how good his networking is, and how good publication you are getting from the lab. Because at the end you are also going to be a product of the lab, and what others are getting, somehow or other you will also get of the same. If the lab is not able to publish good papers in 1 or 2, 3 years, then certainly it will be tough for you to publish a good paper, and then the career path will be very much difficult in the future. So you have to see the track record so that you can choose your guide. Do consider it. This is one of the highly important thing which I want to address, and which I want you to know, is the behavior of the guide. Before joining any guide, I will highly recommend you to take a survey of the department and talk to the students of the guide as well as the other student to know the behavior of the guide. Some guides are very cool, they are very good. In my case, my guide was super cool, but I have seen many other people who are doing with a guide which is a bit toxic in nature. They are they are not good happy at their place. So before, it's a human nature, anyone can be a good person, anyone can be a bad person, there could be a person in between as well. So you're going to spend a couple of years working under a particular person, and you are going to deal with it, because he's going to sign all your reports, he's going to send it a lot of places, he's going to make you publish some good purpose, and he's going to decide your future in many cases as well. So before joining a guide, do go to the department, talk to the students, the lab alumni, the lab current student, the other students of the department, to get a feedback of the professor how good he is or not. Because mental harassment and other kind of things are very much common in academia. A lot of people are, have trouble because of this, but a good number of guides are always there. So you have to see whether your particular behavior, your particular attitude is going to match with that particular person or not. And that is highly important as well, because you are going to spend good amount of time, as I said, and his working style or her working style is going to influence your working style in the future, because you are going to learn a lot of things from him or her. So that's why it's important to get a personal record, how good a person is, how good is in dealing with situations, does he panics or not, it's a patience or not, because these things are going to be embedded in you with time. You are going to learn these things, and I want you to be a good person. Research is a secondary thing. The first thing is you have to be a good person to the others. You have to listen to the criticism well. You have to respond to things in a positive manner. You have to be responsible for your acts and not to interfere in others' personal, professional, or other life. So that's what you need to learn, and that makes you a good person. So try to get to the history of the professor, to get the record of attitude, personality, and everything, and you see whether it matches with your own or not. And if it is good, then only you should find a particular person. And that is what I recommend. It is highly recommended, because it's not good to go to a person which you have a lot of differences, and then you both guys suffer from differences in various manners. So go with good, take a search, invest your time and get a good guide. It is very important, choosing a guide is equally important as choosing a life partner, because a life partner is going to decide your whole life, and your whole academic career is going to be decided by a particular person, in most cases, who's going to be responsible for your PhD. He's going to give you recommendation at many places. He's going to decide whether you're going to go for a conference, you're going to go for networking, everything. So your publication record, your academic career, your facilities, what you learn, what your skills, they are all important, and they're all influenced by the person whom with you are doing your PhD. So it is important, take a short amount of time and invest time in whatever the things I have mentioned, so that you can land with a good guide and get a good PhD. So that's all for the today. If you like the video, do give a thumbs up and share with your friends, so that those who are going to join a PhD may benefit from this as well. So thank you guys. This is all for today, and next time I'll come with another video. Till then, take care and have a safe time.